Thanks very much for this opportunity to be part of this really comprehensive and engaging webinar series. So today I'll be talking about ongoing work that we are conducting at the Open University, where we are looking into how we can leverage generative AI to improve course production in our university, and also beyond that, on how to use these new technologies in order to enhance and improve the learning experience of our students. Right, so I am a senior research fellow at the Open University. I have been with the Open University for 14 years now, and during that time I have been working on conducting research regarding the applications of educational technology in various forms of learning, particularly personalized learning, self-regulated learning, lifelong learning. I've also been looking into how educational technology can contribute to open education and how it can improve open educational resources. And more recently, I've been looking into how decentralization technologies like the blockchain can democratize and transform education by, for example, giving complete control to learners over their learning journey, and how the journey of lifelong learners can be scaffolded and can be guided and facilitated through mechanisms such as immutable and transparent accreditation based on decentralization. So you can find more about my work on the web. My homepage is alexmikro.net. And also I'm tweeting quite regularly. My Twitter handle is alexmikro. Right, so a few words about my university. The Open University, the OU, was launched back in 1969. And since then, we have helped more than 2.3 million people worldwide to achieve their learning goals. And we are currently one of the largest universities in Europe with more than 200,000 students. Our students come from all ages and backgrounds. They study with us for various reasons, for example, to update their skills, get a qualification, they boost their career, they want to change directions in their career, they may even want to prove themselves or keep mentally active. So most of our students, 71%, work already full or part-time during their studies. 1/3 of them have had only one A-level or even a lower qualification at entry. And we are proud that our open admission process is giving them an opportunity to pursue their learning goals. And a quarter of our students live in the a quarter of our UK undergraduates live in the 25% most deprived areas. So in this first chapter, I will talk about what is generative AI and how it is already impacting education. So first of all, what is GenAI, Generative Artificial Intelligence? This refers to a category of AI algorithms and models that are specifically designed to generate new content. For example, images, text, music, and this new content resembles extremely well human-created content. So in order to achieve that, GenAI is trained on large data sets. It employs techniques like deep learning and also neural networks. And in this way, it mimics human creativity and produces outputs that are not explicitly programmed or predefined. So out of the training of large data sets, these models can generate new content, original new content, which mimics very well something that a human would create. And I'm sure most of you have already heard about ChatGPT. This was launched just last November, but it has already taken the world by storm. So this is an implementation of the GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer model. This was developed by OpenAI, and it's designed to generate human-like responses to text-based prompts. And it makes it well suited for conversational interactions. So if you have interacted with ChatGPT, you will have noticed how easy it is to use. It employs the conversational model. You can ask questions and get very, very convincing answers. Which may not always be factually correct, but they're really convincing, because this is how the model was built, to mimic natural language, to generate natural language responses. But ChatGPT is not the only tool from the GenAI family. There is competitors like Google have launched its own AI model called Bard, which is quite similar, a conversational text-based conversational interface. Adobe has released Firefly, which generates art based on text prompts, and also Midjourney is similar. It generates AI images based on text prompts. So even though this technology is quite new, and these tools that have stemmed out of these technologies are very new, are brand new, they are already impacting education. So here I have summarized some of the positive impacts that GenAI already has on education, and this is the credit for this slide goes to Mike Sharples, who is emeritus professor in our university, and he has published this in the latest UNESCO quick start guide for ChatGPT. So in this slide, we can see some high-level use cases that can be potentially beneficial to educators and learners when deploying these Gen AI models into education. First of all, possibility engine, where AI generates alternative ways of expressing an idea. Gen AI can also be used as a Socratic opponent, where the learner interacts with the AI who acts as an opponent to develop an argument. Collaboration coach, where the AI helps groups of students to research and solve problems together. A co-pilot or guide on the side is the paradigm where the AI acts as a guide to navigate physical and conceptual spaces. And personal tutor, this is one of my favorite use cases because this scales incredibly well with the use of Gen AI, as opposed to using real human tutors. This is the use case where we deploy a Gen AI for each student in order to give them immediate feedback on their progress. A co-designer is an AI that assists through the design process. And there's a few others. I won't go into a lot of detail. indicatively, we can have GenAI being used as a study buddy, as a motivator, or even as a dynamic assessor of knowledge. But at the same time, we should not forget that this technology can also have negative impacts. A lot of discussion has been going on around, and you probably have seen articles criticizing GenAI for being used by students to cheat in exams and assignments. And this fundamentally breaks the learning process, the education process, because the educator is then unable to properly assess the knowledge that the student has acquired. Students can overly rely to GenAI, and that can lead to them not develop important critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Something that quite often happens is that these models can sometimes hallucinate. This happens when they make up facts. Because being language models, they don't have a concept, they don't have an understanding of what is factually true, and this causes a lot of the time to have responses that are not incorrect, that are not correct or are incomplete, and this is of course destructive when being used in an educational context. Biases may be perpetuated if these models are not trained or on diverse enough data. If not all students have access to the latest GenAI tools, then this obviously is giving an unfair advantage to some students over others. And finally, extended use of GenAI can reduce opportunities for direct human interaction between students and teachers. So these are some of the negative impacts that we need to keep in mind. So moving on, in this chapter, I will talk to you about the work that we are currently conducting at the OU. This is ongoing work, as I mentioned before, where we are looking into how we can deploy these tools to benefit both our staff, both our academics who are producing modules, who are producing learning materials, and also our students. Right. So here I have summarized the high-level objectives of this work. So we are motivated by wanting to best create high-quality learning materials in an efficient manner. We are looking for speed and agility, especially for fast-moving and often popular disciplines, for example, computer science disciplines, where we need when we need module production in a fast and agile way to keep up with the latest developments in the field. We also want to personalize learning materials in order to best suit the individual needs of our learners. And historically, we have done this through our tutors and our student-facing support services, but GenAI might give us an opportunity to do this at scale, at a much larger scale than we could before. We are also looking into how we can best adapt existing learning materials. It very often happens that some small changes are required related to discipline changes, or some larger changes are needed to existing content if we are repurposing it for a different target audience. For example, if we are adapting existing content to produce micro-credentials. So overall, we are looking into what extent we can use GenAI to transform our module production so that we support all the above goals and provide students with high quality, up-to-date and personalized learning materials for a lower cost than today. Right. So the first step of this work has been liaising with our module writing teams. These are teams of academics and other support staff that are directly involved in writing and co-developing and producing these learning materials for distance, which are used for distance learning by our students. So initially we have already held earlier this month 4 workshops with 4 different module writing teams, where we gathered ideas about how we can use GenAI to help them during the production and adaptation of course modules. So within these workshops, we talked extensively about how we can deploy these technologies within the OU module production. We allowed the participants to experiment with ChatGPT and a few other GenAI tools, and we have gathered their ideas. So these are some of the use cases that emerged from these workshops. So the first use case is the quick text generator, where we can deploy GenAI to quickly generate module summaries and introductions based on module content. So we have the module content which has been developed by our academics, and then the more trivial tasks of summarization, of generating introductory pieces, of generating conclusions and summaries is done by the GenAI by training it to and fine-tuning it with the content that the academics have created. Our teams were also very interested in using these technologies to rewrite materials in different styles. So it happens quite often that when writing and producing these materials, the academics have a very particular audience in mind. But if this changes, for example, as I mentioned before, if we need to adapt existing materials, for example, to produce micro-credentials or produce a shorter, more focused open educational resource, open course, then this is something that GenAI could help us a lot with. The personalized learning journey is something that came up quite often among the participants of the 4 workshops. It was quite evident that we can use GenAI to personalize the module experience based on specific interests and abilities of our students. We can also use GenAI to provide real-time assistance, which is very important to have as a virtual, for example, assistant that can reframe module content in real time and can answer questions of students in real time. Our teams were also very interested in using GenAI as an accessibility and EDI checker on course content in order to check course content that and ensure that it aligns with accessibility and EDI guidelines. And finally, a use case that was proposed was to use GenAI to produce quizzes and interactive activities. Right, so we are already moving to the next steps. We are currently developing prototype tools that will be evaluated by our academics. We are currently finalizing a prototype tool that will implement the first use case I mentioned before, generating summaries and based on the existing module content. So this will be tested and evaluated by our module writing teams. And also we are planning follow-up interviews with selected workshop participants in order to further, to acquire but much better insights into their views, into their perceptions of what GenAI can do for them. Right. So I would like to close this this presentation by sharing some takeaway messages that have already emerged from this work. So first of all, we should be critical about the use of GenAI. We should not just use it because it's a trend, but we should base its use on solid use cases where we have very carefully weighed the pros against the cons. This brings me to my second point, which is about awareness of the effort which is needed to deploy these technologies within within an educational context. Of course, there will be some time savings and cost savings, but at the same time, we should be aware that these technologies are quite they are currently being developed. They have not reached maturity. They're not mature enough yet. And for example, as I mentioned before, a lot of the times there are hallucinations produced by ChatGPT, and there needs to be really careful fact-checking of all the responses generated. So this can be additional effort, which could outweigh actually any other benefits obtained. We should also be transparent about using GenAI. If parts of our modules, if parts of our learning materials are generated by GenAI, then obviously our students should be aware of that and the process that was used to generate this text. And finally, content is king. This is something that Bill Gates said back in the 90s, but this is still true, especially in the context of GenAI, where it has been proven that these models work best if they are fine-tuned using specialized content. And this both the OU and all the other higher education institutes, they hold a wealth of information. They hold a wealth of content, of learning materials that are of high quality and have been curated for a number of years. And this content should form the basis of fine-tuning these models, GenAI models, so that if we want to use them as more specialized and reliable companions for our students.